Hi, this is your host Artem Bharti and welcome to TFR Let's Talk. And today we have with us Artem Andreev, Product Manager at Mirantis. Artem, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. And today we are going to talk about Mirantis OpenStack for Kubernetes or MOSK version 24.3. Before we talk about, of course, specific this release, a lot of folks may have forgotten that, Mirantis, you folks, very active in Kubernetes space, but you have very deep roots in the OpenStack world as well from the very early days. You folks played a very big role in that space. So just remind viewers the role that Mirantis plays in the OpenStack, the whole open infra foundation ecosystem.
Since we started with a product, it would be fair to mention that Mirantis OpenStack for Kubernetes, or MOSK as we call it, is the third generation of Mirantis's OpenStack products. So it's been about 12 years of overall experience of running OpenStack, in production for large customers that we basically put together and wrapped into the nice packaging and made it like our third generation OpenStack. The whole history started it's been 12 years already. Wow. Actually, I'm proud to say that I've been the part of this journey like for the whole 12 years. So it all started back in 2012, where we did initially, some commercial deployments based on the upstream packages for like OpenStack deployments, of course. And at some point, we realized that we actually want to make this a repeatable experience, and that's this way how the first Mirantis OpenStack actually emerged. After that, we actually started contributing to the community a lot. So Mirantis, used to be like I wouldn't say the top, but among the top contributors to the community. So yeah, and at some point we kind of gave up on open source, but a bit of a heads up, Mirantis is getting back to this topic. So we expect some great news pretty soon, specifically around OpenStack. Yeah, so we tried these products like in real life against big customers, big deployments. We realized there's a lot of that needs to be improved, and this is how we ended up like with our third generation of past experiences, which we have been having since it's been already 5 years. Geez, so my baby is big.
If we just look at, of course, MOSK or OpenStack in this modern world, I always kind of compare, OpenStack and some of these technologies with technology like the Linux kernel or Unix or in mainframe. These are kind of not the shiny object around here, but these are the foundation, the backbone of our economy, of the IT world that we are building today. So can you also talk about the role, because in early days OpenStack was the shiniest object, everybody was talking about it. Now, and the fact is that even Linux kernel, it's stable, it's mature, it's been used in production, so we don't talk much about it as we used to. So I want to also understand the state of OpenStack, where it is, how it's being used today.
You made a great observation. It's very true that OpenStack is not on the top of the wave in terms of like being something new, something long awaited. Just to a certain extent, it became a commodity of some sort. So it became mature, and you know, it lost a bit of its excitement around it, unfortunately. Because like it's a normal thing for technologies. You just come to the market, everybody is so excited, everybody loves it, everybody's talking about that. Then at some point the hype goes down, and all we see around is just like people who actually run things in production and don't like to talk about that thing too much. So this is pretty much where OpenStack had been until this Broadcom VMware acquisition story. I mean, it's the second breath that the technology is getting, specifically in the context of getting away from VMware, because it has a lot to offer to specifically companies with enterprise thinking, right? Something that the niche that usually used to be fit by to 90, 80% by VMware. Right. So people start to talk about OpenStack again. They start exploring this technology. They start thinking about transforming maybe some of their workloads to, move them, make them more, cloud, ready, which is something that they wouldn't be doing if it wasn't for the, this VMware technology shift. So to my perspective, it's actually great that OpenStack is back again. And we from Mirantis, we are supporting this movement like with whatever we can. We have very nice offerings, technology offerings, services offerings, specifically around this migration from VMware.
Yeah, you kind of open another can of worm, which is VMware and Broadcom, acquisition. And after that, the whole license change. How have you seen the whole market reacting to that? And have you seen any uptake in where people are looking at OpenStack as an alternative to what they were doing with VMware?
Um, the market, it's a mixed reaction from my perspective. So I think that the phase of like complete denial is past. So, and now the majority of people I personally talk to, they're more, more in the exploration mode, like they're looking for alternatives. And just to be fair, OpenStack is not the only alternative to VMware. There's a lot of very good and interesting technologies around. The question is, how do you fit a particular technology specifically into your particular use case? That's a big question that a lot of IT specialists, operators for the infrastructure, they need to have an answer for.
And in this latest release, of MOSK 24.3, of course, I would love to know a bit about what's new there. But are there any features, functionalities which are also baked in to help folks who are looking at migrating away from VMware?
Yes, although the major focus of this release is on something different. Yeah, but overall, this year I think we did a great job at you know cr being creative and extending the services, the OpenStack offerings, the core, with some additional functionality, which is more something that VMware users are more used to. Specifically, I'm talking about the alternative for the dynamic resource scheduler service. It's a component that moves virtual machines around based on some rules, trying to optimize the balancing and balance the load on the cluster. So we at Mirantis, we built our own version, our own service, and launched it back in summer. So now we're in the mode of piloting this solution with our friendly customers, polishing it up, making it more nice and shiny, nicely packaged, more advanced. But apart from that, we are extending the platform, our virtualization platform, with additional small features that again support this transition, or could support this transition mode from old VMware to the new bright and shiny OpenStack future. And of course, we're exploring different features that VMware users tell us they use, and trying to come up with some sort of a template or a generic solution how to actually move from the existing technologies to something that the new stack offers. What could be the solution? How to bridge this gap? So that's a lot of research work that is also happening on our side.
Excellent, thank you. Now let's talk about what else is there exciting in this release that even you are excited about.
This release is slightly about a slightly different topic, and this is like about the empowerment of cloud operators to have more thorough and deeper control over their own infrastructure. So it's something that you would be probably expecting for like on-premise virtualization solution, but at the same time, it's if we talk about OpenStack, it's somewhere in between VMware and Amazon Web Services. So the cloud experience on premise. So you expect control, and at the same time you expect cloud experience. So how to provide balance in between these two? That's a great question that actually I think Mirantis has a very good answer for. So if we go back to the features, like technically specifically, right? What is that we can offer? So in 24.3 release, we did a great advancement of our new day 2 host operating system management subsystem, right? Basically, we simplify the process of configuration and fine tuning the hosts, the host operating system in terms of for example, CPU isolation configuration, tweaking kernel parameters for better performance, configuring integrations with some enterprise systems like identity and access management. So all of these use cases, we help to implement through like a very generic, abstract, so to say, API. So you can do whatever you want with your environment, but at the same time, you maintain control over what's going on with your environment. So everything that you do is reflected in our central API, right? And this API you can use, for example, together with a Git repository that allows you to store all of the configurations that you accumulated over the past a couple of years of running your cloud in a single place, and you have like full transparency. What is configured, how is configured, and well, for what reason, which is one of the most important things, not to lose the ends. So that's one of the improvements for this release, but not the only one. When we talk about OpenStack, we talk about complexity. It's unfortunately the power comes with the complexity, and well, in our case, we are addressing this complexity with the idea that every complex application can be deployed on top of Kubernetes. So this is our core concept of the architecture. So everything is fully Kubernetized. All the OpenStack components, all the infrastructure components, everything is a container. So, and one of the most important cases that this architecture allows us to solve is the updatability. So basically how to keep up with the latest software, how to make sure that you always run the latest patches, you get the latest features, bug fixes, and do this with minimal disruption to the workloads and to the users. It's a big challenge, trust me. It's a really, if you talk to anyone who has been running OpenStack for a couple of years, they will be telling, well, OpenStack updates are nightmare. Well, at least they used to be, like they're improving, but well, it's still, we're talking about the full stack: host operating system, Kubernetes, OpenStack, infrastructure services. So we did a great job at making this update experience really transparent, granular, and well, predictable. That's the most important thing. If we talk about enterprise environment, everything needs to be planned. You always, whatever you do with your infrastructure, you always need to have a plan, which is signed by, I don't know, 5 people in leather seats, and well, you need to execute according to the plan. So our lifecycle management, which is a wrapping for upstream OpenStack, so to say, it is really smart to allow you to manage, well, a really huge infrastructure based on OpenStack and do this efficiently and with minimal disruption, and will keep up with whatever security requirements you have or whatever needs you have in terms of features and bug fixes, and do this again with minimal effort and well, minimum risk. Well, managing risks is important. So from my perspective, this is the most complicated piece of work that we have done. So I would call it a signature, particularly this one. I would call it a signature feature of this release.
I remember early days of OpenStack where, of course, upgradability was a big challenge. It was also a lot of effort was going on, that there's no fragmentation, the between even vendors also. And yes, it was also, a lot of reports used to come out that which version of OpenStack you're running, and sometimes folks were running even unsupported version.
Oh,
Yeah. And now, when you look at OpenStack for Kubernetes, Kubernetes itself is known for complexity. It is known for cost. It's known for all those challenges that comes with that. When we look at Mirantis, since you folks work in both spaces, Kubernetes space and OpenStack space, you bring all the experience for Kubernetes or OpenStack world to Kubernetes world. How is this experience helping in working, because you folks, as you rightly said earlier, that you have been doing open source, but slowed down a bit, and now it's going back to the open source route again in one way or the other. But how is it kind of one team which is working on OpenStack and another team which is working on Kubernetes complementing each other to solve the problem, which also reflect in the products and projects you folks are working for each different these open source technologies, Kubernetes and OpenStack?
well, that's a great question. It's a challenging job. And this is my personal, challenge, how to put all of these guys, very smart guys, but well, sometimes not really, as any engineers, not really organized, and how to make them work together. Uh, it's working. I mean, we getting a lot of experience with Kubernetes when we go in the field. Like, we have a huge customer base who are running our Kubernetes distribution, and we just incorporate all of these experiences into improvements. And somehow it works out that, well, we from OpenStack side of things, we're just consuming what our own Kubernetes distribution has to provide. So, and actually, I'm also excited to say that we are launching a new version of our Kubernetes offering. And I, as a user of OpenStack, I'm really excited about that, because it's going to solve so many technical problems with, previous version. It's going to make users' life so much easier. It's based on also on open source. You probably heard about K0s. It's our open source project. Like, I would call it next generation Kubernetes distro, but that would be pretentious too much. But I mean, I really like the concept there, and for us, the major contribution, the major kind of improvement for us is the amount of work that you would need to put into operating the theme in the field, because we're not also running OpenStack, we're also operating underlying Kubernetes. So it's a bit of a overhead, and this overhead is going to be reduced significantly once we move to the next version.
As you earlier also mentioned, whether it's when we look at VMware, there are a lot of alternatives. When we look at the whole modern, IT cloud landscape, why folks should care about OpenStack? What because things are getting complicated, things are getting cost effective, and also if you look at the whole geopolitical landscape, I mean the whole OpenStack, the whole idea was you can have your own private cloud, and a lot of things globally. It may not be the case in the US, but Europe, Asia, OpenStack adoption is very, very high there. So can you also talk about the problem that OpenStack is solving, why folks should care about OpenStack today?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So I think the major drivers why people care, or actually still look into the OpenStack kind of as a technology, they're looking for ownership. They want to own their infrastructure. They want to own their data. They want to be sure that their data is secure. And that's what this idea of on-premise cloud actually gives them. Safety, and well, guarantees that whatever happens, you have it at your hand, so you can do whatever. And well, of course, that also introduces a lot of challenges for the technology to be flexible enough to fit every use case. And well, OpenStack has been an open source thing, an open source technology. It provides this flexibility. So that's the greatest thing about that. So why it would be fair to say that a lot of customers come to us because they see OpenStack in the like on the website, because they're specifically looking for something open. They want to have an open view into their infrastructure, and that's what we're giving them.
Of course, we are talking
Sure.
24.3. You cannot share a lot of other, I mean, it's an open source, based on open source, but just give us a glimpse what else you folks are working on when it comes to Mirantis OpenStack for Kubernetes.
A lot of interesting innovations, I would say, should be expected next year, around next year. So we are working on, better supporting specific, advanced use cases like future-proof for kind of features for modern applications like AI and machine learning. That kind of things. We're working with to improve the integrability of the product into the enterprise environment, so making it more kind of a compliant, less cloudy, more like looking like VMware, a bit, not too much, to again, because a lot of the core is there, but a lot of infrastructure and services around the core are missing in the upstream. If we look at this, like I'm talking about capacity management, self-onboarding of the applications to the cloud. So all of these use cases need to be solved somehow, and that's among many. This is some directions that Mirantis is working on. And of course, the open source topic, as I mentioned previously, Mirantis is getting back to the basics, to the roots, and I'm actually happy to announce that we're going to open source for the core of our MOSK product, and we're doing this pretty soon in January next year. So basically, having this code on the GitHub would allow you to deploy your own MOSK on your own premise, on your own terms, in a way that you want. And well, ideally, of course, contribute some ideas, code back. That's what we hope for. But well, at least sharing, that's the first step for us.
Artem, thank you so much for joining me today and of course talk about OpenStack for Kubernetes. Thanks for sharing all those great insights about the project, where it's heading, and also the importance of this technology in modern world. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Swapnil. See you soon.